Let's talk about current market conditions. As you probably know, if you've been on Zillow or online and looking at homes, or maybe your neighbor's house went up for sale, you'll see that homes are very expensive right now compared to maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Right now in the Phoenix area, the average home price is about $420,000. Now that doesn't mean you can't find a house for less than that. That is just the average. You have to realize that homes are being averaged together from the worst parts of town to the best parts of town, like North Scottsdale or Paradise Valley or Fountain Hills. So it's just an average, but that's a very high average and probably near the top all time here in Arizona. Is it a buyer or seller's market? Actually, it's fairly balanced. The market right now does not favor sellers over buyers, and a lot of that has to do with the next topic, interest rates. Interest rates right now are a little above average. I know that sounds weird because the average interest rate historically has been about 6%. We're hovering at about 7.5% right now, so it's above average. You may know a lot of people that have interest rates in the 2s or 3s, but that was an anomaly. Home loans interest rates were never that low for a mortgage, a first lien mortgage. So that was very unusual. So for those people, they lucked out in a sense that they were able to get their loan at such a low interest rate. Typically, though, they hover around 6%. Growth of area. If you've been in Arizona for any length of time, and I've been here since 2017, you've seen a lot of growth. The valley is stretching northeast, southeast, northwest, and even southwest. So there's no shortage of new construction here in the valley. I see a lot of giant apartment complexes going up. So there is a lot of demand for housing here in Arizona. Let's talk about how to actually become a homeowner. Here are the 6 steps, and we're going to go through these individually. First, you hire an agent. Hopefully, at the end of this presentation, if you're still interested in becoming a homeowner, you hire me. Second, you get pre-approved for financing. This is a very important step. Third, search for your new home. Fourth, make and negotiate your offer. Fifth, home inspection. And finally, number 6, you close on your new home. Here are some things you need to look for when you hire an agent. Your real estate agent should help educate you on the current market. You're going to want them to analyze your wants and needs, because what they're going to do is they're going to help you find a home based on that criteria. You may want 5 bedrooms, but after looking at the available properties and your budget, you may have to go to 4 bedrooms. And working with your agent, they can determine what you actually need and what you might want in a home when you're ready to get your dream home. Your real estate agent's also going to coordinate with other professionals. And this is what's nice about having a buyer's agent, is you don't have to deal with the seller's agent, whose fiduciary duty is to protect their client, the seller. Your real estate agent will also deal with your mortgage broker. And that way you don't have to learn the language of real estate to the degree that you would need in order to deal with some of these people. They'll also deal with title company, the insurance company, the appraiser. They'll also deal with other vendors like a home inspector. They'll also negotiate on your behalf. So once you come up with an offer and your agent submits it, that's when the negotiations begin. And as a buyer's agent, we have a lot of experience in negotiation, and there is a subtle art to it. And as a buyer, you may get emotional when a seller rejects your offer. As a buyer's agent, I'm a third party. I'm not emotionally invested in that particular transaction. So a buyer's agent can negotiate on your behalf most likely in a better way than a buyer could, because there's no emotion involved. And there's a lot of experience behind that negotiating skill. And believe it or not, problems come up during the course of the home buying process. Sometimes they're very small. Sometimes these problems can be very big and very stressful if you're doing it yourself. So these are reasons why having a buyer's agent is important, and these are things you want to look for when you're hiring an agent. I may also add that you typically do not pay your buyer's agent. The buyer's agent is paid by the seller. So all the work that I would do for you as a first-time home buyer is paid for by the seller, and my commission is paid through their sale. So if you don't buy, I don't make any money. And you don't pay your buyer's agent directly in almost every case. Secure financing. As a real estate agent, this might sound silly, but this may be the most important part of the whole process. And it really does not involve me directly. This is where we deal with the mortgage broker, and they basically tell us how much money you can afford to borrow and ultimately how much house you can buy. Here are a couple terms that we'll need to know. Pre-approval versus pre-qualification. It's important to understand the difference here. A pre-approval is formal and precise, meaning you've gone through the gauntlet of paperwork to determine how much home you can buy. They're going to pull your credit. They're going to look at your tax returns. They're going to confirm your employment and look at your pay stubs. They're going to check your bank accounts. And using that information, they're going to find an exact dollar range that you can borrow money for and ultimately purchase your new home. Pre-qualification, on the other hand, is basically just an estimate. You can go to a mortgage broker, they'll ask you some questions, and based on those answers, they'll give you a rough idea of what you might be able to afford. It's not precise, it's not formal, and most sellers in the negotiation and offer stage will not accept a pre-qualification letter. A pre-approval, they will. Now it's time to choose a lender. The first way you can find a lender is to ask for referrals. Family members or friends or people you know and trust that have just maybe purchased a home recently have worked with a loan officer or mortgage broker that they like, and you can ask them for a referral. Your real estate agent, your buyer's agent, can refer you a loan or mortgage broker as well. We work with them all the time. Once you have a couple phone numbers, interview them, choose which one you feel most comfortable with. And it's important to feel comfortable with them because they're going to be intimately looking at your finances, bank statements, tax returns, credit scores. So it's very important to be comfortable and be able to trust them. Their job is to prepare a loan application and get you pre-approved. And the pre-approval, as we talked about earlier, determines a few things. One is your monthly mortgage payment, how much down payment you're going to need, and the different types of loan options that are available to you. And there are quite a few. So it's important that you work with a reputable and solid mortgage broker. As I mentioned previously, your mortgage broker is going to work very closely with you, and they're going to help you create a budget. They're going to identify your expenses, determine the amount that you can comfortably spend on your new home, and they may make simple changes in how you're spending money in order to get you to where you need to be. The loan programs will help determine a lot of these parameters. During this process, it might be good to understand mortgages in general. Some of the more important points include down payment. How much money should you put down on your home? There's a lot of variables that factor into that answer, but there are mortgages available with down payments that start at 0. And then you can put as much money on a home as you want. In fact, a lot of people pay cash, believe it or not. However, typically, most people pay between 3% to 20% as a down payment. So to use easy numbers, if the house is $100,000, the down payment could range anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000. Interest payment, what rate? Typically, you want to get a fixed interest rate on your mortgage. That way your payment stays the same for the duration of the loan. They call that a term. The length of the loan is called a term. Typical terms are either 15 years or more commonly 30 years. And as we mentioned earlier, interest rates are right around 7.5% right now. 15-year term will get you a lower rate, but a higher payment. And again, these are things that you're going to have to work out with your mortgage broker to determine what you can comfortably afford and what the banks will allow you to lend. Your monthly mortgage payment is made up of a few payments, commonly known as PITI, which stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So every month you make a mortgage payment, part of your payment is going to go towards the principal, and that pays the equity of your home. It basically pays down your loan. Interest pays the lender for the loan. That's how they make their money. Taxes, you're paying the local entity for the privilege of owning your home and having the streets paved and lights on the streets and schools for the children and so on. And then insurance. The insurance pays to protect your investment, and every mortgage is going to require that you carry home insurance. Now, there are a couple other possible payments that you're going to have to make as well every month. One, depending on how much of a down payment you have, you may have to pay what's known as private mortgage insurance. So if you put down less than 20% on your loan, there's a chance you may have private mortgage insurance. It's not nominal, but it's not expensive either. And once you hit that 80% equity threshold, it usually goes away. Again, depends on the mortgage and the type of loan that you get approved for. The other payment that you may have, and it depends on where you buy your home, is HOA, Homeowners Association fees. Sometimes they can cause the deal to go south, meaning sometimes the HOA fees are too much every month, and it makes the property